From a 10-year-old sand miner in Africa to the scariest man on the planet, this is the story of Francis the Predator Ngannou. On September 5th, 1986, Francis is born in Beatty, Cameroon, to a poor family. His father is a violent man with a bad street reputation who would often beat his mother. His household is filled with an aura of fear and violence. His mother would divorce his father when Francis is only around 6 years old. Seeing the negative impact his father had on the community around him, Francis knew he wanted to bring hope to his family and that he never wanted to be like his dad. Unfortunately, the school system did not favor the poor background of the Ngannous. He would grow up not being able to afford the supplies needed to participate in daily activities, which would ultimately get him kicked out of school. This led Francis to begin working in a sand mine to help provide for his family at the age of 10. The work was extremely difficult and the environment was harsh, which may have helped condition him physically and mentally for his journey to come. As years passed, Francis would secretly hope that a savior would come and save him and his family from their hardships. His wish would unknowingly be granted when someone would show Francis a video of heavyweight boxing legend Mike Tyson. This would plant the dream of becoming heavyweight champion of the world into Francis. No one would believe or support this dream, but Francis would finally obtain the courage to chase it when his father died, and Francis was left wondering, how was he going to support his mother? To chase his dream, he set on a journey to get into Spain. The first step of the journey is to get across the largest sand desert in the world, the Sahara. He gets in the back of a Toyota Tacoma with around 25 others to start the treacherous drive across the desert. Limited water and space, sandstorms, robberies, extreme weather, and patrols scouring the area for immigrants are just some of the hardships that Francis must face traveling through the Sahara. Once across the desert, migrants live in the forests bordering the Spanish cities. They hide from abusive cops as they make the decision whether they will try to hop the fence to get into the territories or if they will try to swim shore to shore. With hardly any food or clothing, the decision must be made quick. Francis chooses to try to get over the fence but is caught after a devastating fall into barbed wire. He's deported back to the desert, and the journey through the desert, the hiding in the forest, and the attempt to get over the fence must be started again. After nearly 1 year and several attempts of trying, Francis decides to try the water this time. 3 hours in, they are able to cross into Spanish waters, only to be spotted by a Moroccan boat. They bring him back to the desert, and Francis vows that the next time he tries will be his last. While going through the water, Francis's boat is toppled by a wave. Him and his crew is left without paddles. With all hope fading and death being near, they have no choice but to paddle with their hands. Lucky for him, a passing Red Cross boat spots him and his crew, and they are brought into Spain. After spending some time in jail, Francis is let free. Immediately, Francis finds a boxing gym and devotes himself to training. His coaches notice his otherworldly power and potential, and that Francis is in dire need of money. They suggest that the quickest form of income for Francis would be MMA. Reluctantly, Francis begins training and competing in mixed martial arts and tears through his opponents. He quickly makes his way into the UFC, where he would win fights against the likes of Curtis Blades, Alistair Overeem, and Andrei Arlovski. He earns his opportunity to face his toughest challenge in the heavyweight GOAT, Stipe Miocic. He loses and is sent into a deep sadness, but with the support of his community, Francis returns to the octagon. After a lackluster loss against Derek Lewis, Francis goes on another streak, knocking out Curtis Blades again, Cade Velasquez, Junior Dos Santos, and Jairzinho Rosenstrike, putting him back in line to fight Stipe in a rematch. This time, things are different. This time, Francis earns gold. He would then defend his belt against Cyril Gane, showing off his wrestling ability. The future seemed bright for Francis, but negotiations with the UFC throws a wrench into the works. Francis has always dreamed of being the heavyweight boxing champion, but the UFC refuses to let him box. Francis wants healthcare for him and all UFC fighters. The UFC refuses. Francis wants access to sponsorships. The UFC refuses. While they do offer Francis enough money to become the most paid heavyweight the UFC has ever had, Francis was not in search of money at the cost of his freedom. He is now a free agent, and while his story is still being written, there is no doubt that his story thus far is a tale of triumph and hope. He is living proof that anything is possible if you are willing to sacrifice. He is living proof that if you chase your dreams, you may just catch it. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.